The human exploration ship drifted at the edge of known space, far from Earth and even farther from safety. It was not a warship. It carried no heavy weapons, only scanners, labs, and a small crew trained to observe and survive. Humans had learned long ago that curiosity could be dangerous, but it was also the reason they were still alive. Ethan Cole stood alone in the engineering bay, wiping grease from his hands. He was not tall or impressive at first glance. His hair was always messy, his uniform never perfect. But when machines failed, when alarms screamed and systems died, people looked for him. Ethan had a way of understanding broken things. He listened to them, studied their silence, and somehow made them work again. The ship's sensors suddenly spiked. Unidentified energy surge detected. The calm voice of the ship's AI echoed through the corridors. Seconds later, warning lights blinked to life. Ethan frowned and moved to the main console. "That's not natural," he muttered. "Too clean, too strong." On the bridge, Captain Laura King leaned forward in her chair. She had spent 20 years in space, and this was the first time her hands tightened on the armrests. "Source?" she asked. "Unknown," the navigator replied. "It's coming from the nebula ahead. Something just exited faster than light." Before anyone could speak again, the stars outside twisted. A massive alien vessel burst into real space, trailing fire and broken light. Its hull was elegant and curved, unlike any human design, but it was badly damaged. Energy leaked from deep wounds along its surface. "It's losing power," Laura said quietly. "And it's heading straight for us." Collision alarms wailed. "Evasive maneuvers," Laura ordered. The human ship rolled hard, engines screaming. The alien vessel passed close enough for everyone to see the glowing symbols along its side. Then, without warning, the alien ship shuddered. A violent explosion tore through its rear section. "They're breaking apart," someone whispered. The alien vessel began to fall apart, pieces drifting like dying stars. Ethan's eyes locked on the sensor feed. "Captain," he said, voice tense, "there's a life pod ejecting. No weapons, no escort." Laura hesitated. First contact protocols were clear. Avoid direct involvement. Observe only. Do not interfere. But the pod was tumbling, its power fading. "If we do nothing," Ethan said softly, "whoever is in there will die." The bridge fell silent. Laura closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. "Tractor beam, bring the pod in." History changed in that second. The pod was sealed and smooth, glowing faintly with alien energy. It resisted human tools at first, then slowly responded to gentle adjustments from Ethan's console. "Easy," he whispered, as if the pod could hear him. With a soft hiss, the hatch opened. Inside lay a single figure. She was not human, but close enough to be unsettling. Her skin shimmered with a pale silver tone, her features sharp yet graceful. Long dark hair floated around her face, held by weak gravity fields. Strange markings glowed faintly along her temples. And she was wearing a crown. Not a human crown, but a delicate band of crystal-like metal, cracked and dim. "Oh, hell," one of the crew breathed. "That's royalty." Medical teams rushed in, carefully lifting her onto a stretcher. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive. Ethan stood frozen, staring. This was not a soldier. This was not a diplomat. This was someone important. Very important. They took her to the medical bay and sealed the doors. Scans ran non-stop, translating biology at record speed. Her body was fragile in some ways, powerful in others. Her brain activity was complex, layered, and very much alive. Ethan stayed nearby, adjusting systems, rerouting power, making human machines speak to alien flesh. Hours passed, then her eyes opened. They were a deep shade of violet, filled with confusion and fear. She tried to sit up, pain flashing across her face. "Easy," Ethan said without thinking. His voice was calm, steady. "You're safe." She stared at him. The room was wrong. The air felt thin, the light too harsh. And the creature standing before her was one of them, a human. Her breath caught. She tried to speak, but the words came out broken, sharp, unfamiliar. Medical scanners translated slowly. "Where am I?" Ethan swallowed. "You're on a human ship. Your vessel was destroyed. We rescued you." Her eyes narrowed. "Humans do not rescue. Humans observe. Then they run." Ethan blinked. "Well, today we didn't." She pushed herself up despite the pain. Guards tensed, weapons ready. "Stand down," Laura said firmly, entering the room. "She's not a prisoner." The alien woman looked at Laura, then back at Ethan. "You broke law," she said slowly. "Human law and imperial law." Ethan met her gaze. Someone needed help. Silence stretched between them. Then she laughed softly, a sound filled with disbelief. "You are foolish," she said. "That may cost you your world." Her name, once translation improved, was revealed as Lyra Valen, Princess of the Valen Empire, heir to a civilization that ruled hundreds of systems, an empire that did not see humans as equals. News traveled fast even across light years. Emergency signals from the destroyed royal ship reached the empire within hours. The message was simple. The princess was missing. Last known location near human space. On the human ship, tension grew heavy. Protocols were rewritten in real time. Diplomats argued. Military advisors warned of consequences. The empire was ancient, powerful, and unforgiving. Ethan watched Lyra through the medical bay glass as she stood at the window, staring at the stars. She looked calm, but inside she was shaking. Her entire life had been shaped by rules, duty, control, superiority. And now she stood on a fragile human ship, alive only because a human had ignored those rules. She turned and looked directly at Ethan. "Why?" she asked. He stepped closer. "Why what?" "Why save me?" she said. "My people would not have saved you." Ethan thought for a long moment. "Maybe that's the difference," he said. "Or maybe we're just bad at walking away." Her expression softened for a fraction of a second before hardening again. "You do not understand what you have done," she said. "My survival will bring war or submission. Humans will be forced to kneel or burn." Ethan felt a chill, but his voice stayed steady. "Maybe. Or maybe it will bring something else." She studied him, searching for deception, arrogance, fear. She found none. For the first time since the explosion, Lyra felt uncertainty not as weakness, but as possibility. Outside the ship, distant stars burned quietly. Inside, two worlds had collided, and neither would ever be the same again. Instead, it slowed near the edge of neutral space, far from both human colonies and the alien empire. The decision came after long and tense arguments. No one wanted to bring an alien princess home. No one wanted to send her back either. Princess Lyra Valen was not just a guest. She was a danger. Messages arrived from human command almost every hour. Some demanded the princess be returned at once. Others warned that the empire might see the rescue as an act of theft or insult. Military advisors spoke of fleets, numbers, and survival odds. None of them spoke about the woman standing quietly in the observation bay, staring at the stars she no longer controlled. Lyra felt the change in the ship every day. The air was filled with tension. Guards followed her at a distance. Doors opened only when allowed. She was not chained, but she was not free. To her people, she was sacred. To humans, she was a problem. Ethan Cole was ordered to stay near her, not because he was a diplomat, because he was calm, because he was human, and because he had already broken the rules once. Their first real conversation happened 2 days after her awakening. Ethan was repairing a damaged translator node in the observation bay. The glass wall showed a wide field of stars, scattered like cold fire. Lyra stood nearby, her hands folded behind her back. "Your machines hum differently when they are nervous," she said suddenly. Ethan glanced up. "Machines don't get nervous." "Your ship does," she replied. "It feels alert, ready to run." He smiled faintly. "Yeah, that sounds about right." She watched him work in silence for several minutes. "Why are you assigned to me?" she asked at last. Ethan shrugged. "Because I'm bad at following orders. That makes people uncomfortable." She tilted her head. "You saved me. That was not discomfort, that was defiance." He tightened a bolt and leaned back. "I guess I didn't see it that way." "Your leaders do," Lyra said. "And mine." She turned to face him fully. "My empire believes humans are clever animals, useful, but dangerous if allowed to grow." Ethan met her gaze without anger. "And humans think your empire is a sleeping giant that could crush us without noticing." "Both may be true," she said calmly. Their eyes held. Something shifted. Not trust. Not yet. But curiosity. Human command soon made its decision. Lyra would not be returned immediately. Instead, she would remain aboard under observation. Officially, this was for her safety. Unofficially, humans wanted information. Culture, technology, intentions. Lyra understood this at once. She did not resist. She asked for something in return, to study humans up close. Not from files, not from reports, from life. The request was approved, and so began the strangest partnership the ship had ever seen. Lyra observed everything. How humans ate together, loud and unashamed. How they argued openly with superiors. How they laughed in the face of fear. She watched engineers work without ritual, without hierarchy, beyond skill. Ethan became her guide, willingly or not. He explained small things. Why humans drank bitter liquids for comfort. Why they kept old photos. Why they named machines. "You speak to broken systems as if they feel pain," Lyra noted one day. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. "Maybe they do. Or maybe it helps me remember to be patient." "Patience is a luxury," she said. "In my empire, speed is power." "Maybe that's why things break," he replied. She did not answer, but she remembered. Lyra, in return, taught him pieces of her world. Not secrets, but stories. How her people measured honor. How loyalty was enforced. How children of royal blood were trained to hide fear before they learned to read. "Were you happy?" Ethan asked once, quietly. She paused for a long time. "I was useful," she said at last. The answer stayed with him. As days passed, the Empire made its move. A formal transmission arrived, wrapped in authority and threat. The princess was to be returned immediately. Any delay would be seen as aggression. Any attempt to influence her would be considered an act of war. The human captain listened in silence. Then another message arrived. Private, encrypted, dangerous. Lyra received it alone. Her expression changed when she finished reading. The calm mask cracked. Ethan noticed. "What did they say?" he asked. She looked at him, eyes sharp. "They said humans are temporary, that I must remember that." "That doesn't sound like an order," he said. "It is a warning," she replied. Later that night, Lyra accessed restricted Empire channels using hidden implants humans had not detected. What she found made her blood run cold. The ship that had attacked her royal vessel had not been human. It had been imperial. A faction within her own empire had tried to kill her because she had questioned the old ways. Because she had spoken of cooperation instead of domination. Because she had suggested that humans should be watched, not crushed. If she returned now, she would not survive. Lyra understood the truth clearly. She was safer among humans than among her own people. But safety came with a cost. Humans were debating her fate. Some wanted to trade her for peace. Others wanted to hide her. A few whispered that eliminating her might remove the problem entirely. Ethan heard those whispers. They made him sick. One evening, he found Lyra standing alone in a dark corridor, her reflection faint in the metal walls. "You're not sleeping," he said. "Sleep invites dreams," she replied. "I do not wish to see my home." He hesitated, then spoke. "You don't have to go back. Not yet." She looked at him sharply. "You would defy your species for me?" Ethan shook his head. "I'd defy them for what's right." "Those are often different things," she said softly. She stepped closer. Too close for protocol. Guards shifted, uneasy. "Ethan Cole," she said, tasting his name. "If war comes, it will be because of me." He met her eyes. "If war comes, it'll be because someone chose it." For a moment, the world narrowed to the space between them. Then alarms blared. The ship shuddered. Unknown vessels appeared on sensors, slipping out of faster-than-light travel. Their signatures were wrong, not fully Imperial, not human. "They're armed!" the navigator shouted. Ethan felt his heart race. "Those aren't rescue ships." Lyra's face went pale. "They found me." The faction had come to finish what it started. Human weapons were weak compared to Imperial ones. Everyone knew it, but humans had something else. Improvisation. Ethan ran to engineering, hands flying over controls. He rerouted power, overloaded shields, and turned civilian systems into traps. Human engineers worked like mad, thinking sideways, bending rules. The first enemy ship fired. Human shields held for a moment, then cracked. Lyra watched from the bridge, horror and awe mixing in her chest. Humans should have panicked, should have surrendered. Instead, they fought like creatures with nothing to lose. Ethan stayed at his station even as sparks flew and heat burned his hands. "We can't win," someone shouted. Ethan replied, voice steady, "We just have to survive." Through clever maneuvers and sheer stubbornness, the human ship escaped into a nearby debris field. Enemy vessels hesitated, unwilling to risk damage. Silence followed. Breathing returned. The cost was clear. Humans had just been attacked by Imperial forces. There would be consequences. Lyra stood before the human captain, shoulders straight. "This is my fault," she said. "I will surrender myself." The room went quiet. Ethan stepped forward. "No." Everyone stared at him. "If she goes back," he said, "she dies, and then war still comes." The captain studied Lyra carefully. "Is that true?" she asked. Lyra nodded once. "Yes." The captain exhaled slowly. "Then this just got bigger," she said. Lyra turned to Ethan later, her voice low. "You are risking everything." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Seems like a human thing to do." She watched him, truly watched him, not as a subject, not as a tool, but as a person. And somewhere deep inside, a forbidden feeling began to grow. Not trust, not yet. But something far more dangerous. The human ship hid among drifting metal and shattered stone for 2 full days. Power was kept low. Lights were dim. Every sound felt loud in the silence. Princess Lyra Valen stayed in a small room near the center of the ship. It was not a cell, but it had no windows. She did not complain. She spent most of her time thinking. For the first time in her life, the future was unclear. Her empire wanted her silent or dead. Humans were arguing over whether keeping her alive was worth the risk. And somewhere beyond the debris field, Imperial hunters waited. Ethan Cole had not slept much. His hands were burned and shaking from overwork, but his mind would not rest. Every system he touched reminded him of how close they had come to dying. Humans were not ready for open war with the Empire, not yet. And yet, war was already reaching for them. Ethan brought food to Lyra's room himself. Guards watched from a distance. "You don't have to do that," she said when she saw him. "I know," he replied, setting the tray down. I wanted to. She studied the food with mild confusion. This smells strange. It's supposed to, he said. Try it anyway. She did. Her eyes widened slightly. It is unpleasant, she said honestly. Ethan laughed. Then it's working. The sound surprised her. She had heard humans laugh before, but never at her expense, never with ease in such a dark moment. You are not afraid, she said. He shrugged. I am. I just don't let it decide everything. She sat down slowly. Fear decides much in my empire. It keeps order. It also keeps people from changing, he said. She looked up at him. Change is dangerous. So is staying the same, he replied. Their conversations became more frequent after that. Sometimes they spoke of small things, music, stars, strange human stories about imaginary worlds. Other times the talks were heavy. Lyra told him about her childhood, about lessons that lasted until exhaustion, about smiles taught as tools, about love spoken of as weakness. Were you ever allowed to choose? Ethan asked quietly. Only how well I obeyed, she answered. Ethan did not know what to say, so he listened. Outside her room, the ship's leaders argued. Human Command sent another message. The Empire had officially accused humans of kidnapping. Fleets were being repositioned. Trade routes were closing. Fear spread through human space. Some human leaders demanded Lyra be handed over to prevent disaster. Others warned that giving her up would prove humans weak forever. The captain called Ethan into a private meeting. You're too close to her, she said calmly. Ethan did not deny it. She's not our enemy. She might be our excuse, the captain replied, for war. Ethan clenched his jaw. She didn't choose this. Neither did we, the captain said. Meanwhile, Lyra made a choice of her own. Using her implants, she secretly accessed deeper Imperial channels. What she found confirmed her worst fears. The faction that attacked her ship was growing stronger. They were using the situation to push for total war against humanity. Her survival was now a problem they intended to solve publicly. Humans would be blamed. Her death would be justified. Lyra realized something then. Silence would kill more than speaking ever could. She requested a full meeting with the Human Command staff. The room was tense when she entered. Guards stood ready. Screens glowed with data and warnings. Lyra stood tall. You are debating whether I am worth the cost, she said plainly. So I will give you the truth. She explained the faction, the attempted assassination, the plan to use her death as a reason to erase humanity before it grew stronger. Even if you return me, she said, war will come. Perhaps slower, perhaps cleaner, but it will come. Silence followed. Ethan watched her closely. This was not a princess speaking. This was a leader. Why tell us this? The captain asked. Lyra looked toward Ethan for a brief second before answering. Because humans deserve the chance to choose their fate with open eyes. The captain leaned back slowly. You're asking us to trust you. No, Lyra said. I am asking you to trust your own judgment. After the meeting, Lyra returned to her room, drained. Ethan followed. You didn't have to do that, he said. Yes, she replied softly. I did. She sat down, her strength finally fading. If I stay, she said, I put your world at risk. Ethan crouched in front of her. If you leave, you die. Their eyes met. The space between them felt heavy. This bond, she said carefully, between us, it should not exist. Ethan's voice was quiet. Maybe it exists because it shouldn't. She looked away. In my empire, love has destroyed dynasties. In ours, he said. It's done that too. She almost smiled. Almost. The next attack came without warning. 3 Imperial ships emerged from faster-than-light travel. Full military. No disguise. They did not hail. They fired. Human alarms screamed. The debris field lit up with explosions. Ethan ran to engineering, already thinking. There was no way to outrun them this time. Lyra stood on the bridge, watching death approach. "They mean to kill everyone," she said. "Then we don't give them the chance," the captain replied. Humans moved fast, not with strength, but with chaos. Decoy signals, false heat trails, sudden turns that made no sense. Ethan overloaded the drive, pushing it beyond safety limits. "We jump blind," he shouted. "No coordinates." "Do it," the captain said. Lyra grabbed a console to stay upright as space twisted. The jump was violent. Systems failed. Lights died. Then silence. They had escaped. Barely. Damage reports flooded in. Life support was unstable. Engines were cracked. The ship could not survive another attack. Lyra felt the weight of it all settle on her. This was no longer about politics. People were dying because of her. She found Ethan alone in engineering, leaning against a console, breathing hard. "You are hurt," she said. "I'll live," he replied. She stepped closer. "Ethan." He looked up. "If staying means your extinction," she said, "I will leave." He shook his head. "You don't get to decide that alone." "I was born to decide alone," she said bitterly. He reached out before thinking and took her hand. Both froze. Human. Alien. Warmth passed between them. "You're not alone here," he said. Her breath caught. This was wrong. This was dangerous. This was everything she had been taught to avoid. She pulled her hand away slowly, but the feeling remained. "This feeling," she said. "It is a weakness." "Or a reason," Ethan replied. She turned from him, voice low. "If my empire learns of this, they will destroy us both." Ethan answered without hesitation. "Then they'll have to try." Lyra closed her eyes. For the first time, she wanted something that was not duty. For the first time, she was afraid not of death, but of losing someone. Outside the ship, the stars burned on, and somewhere between fear and hope, a forbidden love began to take shape, quiet and dangerous, strong enough to shake worlds. The damage could not be hidden anymore. The human ship limped through empty space, engines held together by skill and luck. Life support flickered. Power was rationed. Every person on board knew the truth, even if no one said it aloud. They could not keep running forever. Princess Lyra Valen spent long hours on the bridge now, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as a witness. She watched humans work under pressure, saw how they argued, failed, adapted, and tried again. There was no perfect order, no rigid silence. Yet somehow things moved forward. This confused her more than fear ever had. Ethan Cole worked until his hands shook. When machines failed, he stayed. When others rested, he stayed. He slept on the floor near the engine core, waking at the slightest change in sound. Lyra noticed. One cycle. She brought him water. "You will damage yourself," she said. He took the bottle. "Machines first." "You are not a machine," she replied. He looked at her, tired eyes softening. "Neither are you." The words stayed with her. Human command finally made its decision. A wide broadcast was sent across human space. The truth was revealed. The rescue, the attacks, the Imperial faction, the threat of war. Panic followed, but so did resolve. Human fleets began to move, not to attack, but to defend key systems. Scientists shared data openly. Engineers tore apart old designs and rebuilt them overnight. Civilians volunteered for evacuation and support roles. The Empire noticed. To them, this behavior was strange. Humans were supposed to fracture under fear. Instead, they united. Imperial leadership responded with force. A full fleet crossed into contested space, claiming enforcement of order. Their message was clear: return the princess, submit to inspection, or be erased. Lyra stood before the Human Command Council once more. "They will not stop," she said. "Even if you surrender me." The council listened. This time, no one argued. Ethan stood at the back of the room, silent. The captain spoke at last. "Then we prepare." Humans did not have stronger ships. They had smarter plans. Ethan was pulled into strategy meetings. His role grew beyond engineering. He suggested using human weaknesses as weapons, overloaded drives as bombs, civilian tech repurposed into traps, unpredictable movement patterns that Imperial simulations could not model. "They think we fight like them," he said. "We don't." Lyra watched him speak with quiet pride. But danger grew closer. Imperial agents began broadcasting messages directly to human worlds. Lies mixed with truth, promises of mercy, threats of extinction. And then came the message meant only for Lyra. It appeared on a secure channel she had not used in years. Her mother's face filled the screen. The Empress looked older, harder. "Come home," she said. "End this." Lyra felt her chest tighten. "They will kill me." "You are already dead to some," the Empress replied. "But your death could save billions." Lyra's voice trembled. "Including humans?" The Empress's eyes went cold. "Humans are a temporary problem." The transmission ended. Lyra stood alone in the dark. The truth was clear. Peace was never the goal. Control was. She went to Ethan. He was adjusting power flows, surrounded by screens. "They will never accept coexistence," she said. "Not now." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Then we make them listen." "By fighting?" she asked. "By surviving," he replied. "Long enough to prove they can't erase us." The final confrontation came sooner than expected. Imperial fleets jumped into human defensive space in massive numbers. Their ships filled the void like metal storms. Human defenses activated. Alarms rang across dozens of systems. The human ship carrying Lyra was ordered to withdraw. Instead, the captain refused. "This ship started it," she said. "This ship stays." Battle erupted. Human ships moved in ways no one expected. Small vessels darted close, using debris and gravity wells. Larger ships sacrificed shielding to deliver precise strikes. Traps detonated where Imperial ships assumed safety. Ethan worked non-stop, rerouting energy, sealing breaches, pushing systems beyond red limits. Lyra stood on the bridge, her face calm, her heart breaking. This war existed because of her bloodline, because of the fear her people carried. An Imperial command signal cut through the chaos. It was directed at her. "Princess Lyra," the voice said, "surrender, or we will burn the human ship you stand upon." The bridge fell silent. Everyone looked at her. She felt the weight of their lives pressed down. Ethan turned toward her, fear in his eyes, but also trust. Lyra stepped forward. "I will answer," she said. The captain nodded. The channel opened. "I am here," Lyra said. "I am alive, and I will not return." Anger exploded through the Imperial voice. "You betray your empire." "No," Lyra replied. "I expose it." She spoke openly. Of the assassination attempt, of the faction, of the lies. She broadcasted on all channels, human and Imperial alike. Some Imperial ships hesitated. Others fired. The human ship took a direct hit. The bridge shook violently. Power failed. Smoke filled the air. Ethan was thrown to the floor. Lyra fell beside him. Alarms screamed. "Engine breach!" someone shouted. The ship was dying. Ethan pushed himself up, blood on his forehead. "I can stabilize it," he said, "but someone has to stay in the core." Everyone understood. It was a one-way task. Lyra grabbed his arm. "No." He looked at her, eyes steady. "This is how humans fight. We buy time." She shook her head. "I will not lose you." He smiled weakly. "You already changed my world." She held his face in her hands, ignoring protocol, ignoring species. "If you go," she said, voice breaking, "I will follow." He froze. This was not supposed to happen. Love was not part of any plan, but it was there, undeniable. The captain spoke firmly. "We find another way." Lyra turned toward the controls. Her implants glowed faintly. "There is a way," she said. "Imperial command ships rely on a central control signal. I can disrupt it, but only from within the network." "That will kill you," Ethan said. "It may," she replied, "but it will end this battle." Ethan grabbed her hand. "Don't." She looked at him with gentle sadness. "This is my duty, not as a princess, as a person." She kissed him, soft, brief, real. Then she moved. Before anyone could stop her, she linked into the system. Her mind reached out through Imperial command channels, breaking firewalls built to obey her blood. Her scream echoed through the bridge as energy surged. Imperial ships faltered. Formations broke. Some shut down entirely. Others retreated in confusion. The human ship drifted, broken but alive. Lyra collapsed. Ethan caught her. "Stay with me," he whispered. Her eyes opened slowly. "Did it work?" He nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yes." She smiled faintly. "Then maybe there is hope." Medical teams rushed in. The battle ended, not with victory, but with survival. Across the stars, both sides reeled. The Empire was shaken. Humans were no longer invisible, and a forbidden love, forged in fire and choice, had changed the course of a war. But the cost was not yet known, and the final choice still waited. The human ship drifted in the aftermath of battle. Systems were damaged, lights flickered, and smoke filled the corridors. The crew moved carefully, repairing what they could and tending to the injured. Every step reminded them how close they had come to death. Even the smallest mistake could have ended them all. Princess Lyra Valen sat quietly in the medical bay, still weak from her link into the Imperial network. Her implants glowed faintly, showing signs of strain. Her skin was pale, and she had trouble sitting upright. Despite the danger she had just faced, there was a quiet strength in her eyes, a calm resolve that came from surviving what she thought would destroy her. Ethan Cole stayed at her side. He refused to leave her alone. Every time she blinked or breathed too quickly, he worried. His hands were scraped, his uniform scorched, but he didn't care. He had promised himself he would protect her, and he intended to keep that promise. "Are you hurt?" Lyra asked softly, noticing the blood on his arm. "Nothing serious," Ethan replied, though he winced at a deep cut on his hand. "You're more important." She shook her head. "We both risked too much." Ethan smiled faintly. "Risk is what humans do best." For the first time since she had arrived on the ship, Lyra allowed herself to feel something beyond fear and duty. She felt connection, and it scared her. Love was not part of her upbringing. It was dangerous, forbidden, and powerful. But with Ethan, it felt real, undeniable. Outside the ship, Imperial fleets had retreated, but the war was not over. The faction that had attacked her before was reorganizing, angry and desperate. They wanted the princess back, dead or alive. Other factions in the Empire were questioning their leadership for failing to control her, and unrest began to spread. Human Command called a meeting in the bridge. The captain, Ethan, Lyra, and senior officers gathered. Maps and holograms displayed fleet positions and known Imperial movements. "They are regrouping," the navigator said. "They will try again, and next time they will not hesitate to destroy entire systems if necessary." Lyra studied the hologram, her expression calm. "Then we do not give them the chance. We strike first." Ethan looked at her sharply. "Strike? I can use the network again," she said, "this time to disrupt their fleet entirely. But it will put me at great risk." The captain frowned. You will be risking your life again? Yes, Lyra said. But it is the only way to end this war before it starts. Ethan took her hand. Then I will stay with you. She looked at him, shocked. You cannot. It will be fatal. Then we face it together, he replied. I cannot let you go alone. Plans were made. Engineers modified the ship to allow them to enter the Imperial network remotely. Shields were reinforced. Medical teams prepared for trauma. Every human aboard knew this would be dangerous, possibly deadly. On the day of the mission, Lyra and Ethan moved into the control core. The air was tense. Machines hummed. Alarms lit up the walls. Every second counted. Are you ready? Ethan asked. She nodded. As ready as I can be. They linked to the network. Lights flickered. The ship shook. Energy surged as Lyra extended her consciousness into the Imperial systems. Ethan stayed beside her, monitoring her vitals, keeping her tethered to reality. Through her eyes, they saw the fleet. Massive ships lined up like predators. Communication signals, weapon systems, navigation, everything. She could see it all. Her mind moved faster than thought, sending pulses to confuse, disable, and reroute the enemy ships. Warning sirens blared. The human ship was being pushed to its limits. Ethan gritted his teeth, adjusting power flows, preventing systems from overloading. He could feel the strain on Lyra, the heat in her mind, the danger of pushing too far. Lyra, you're overextending, he shouted. Pull back now. I cannot, she replied, her voice strained. If I stop, they will rebuild. The war will continue. Billions will die. He clenched his fists. Then we do this together. I'll help you. Slowly, carefully, Ethan entered the interface. He could not match her mental skill, but he could manipulate physical systems, engines, shields, communications, to amplify her effect. Together, they worked in perfect synchronization, human and alien, mind and machine. Imperial ships faltered. Weapons misfired, formations broke apart. Confusion spread through their fleet. Some ships shut down completely, unable to respond to the disrupted signals. Chaos turned the tide. On the bridge, the crew of the human ship watched, awed. They had never seen anything like it. Humans and aliens working together, shaping the outcome of an entire war with intelligence, courage, and cooperation. Finally, Lyra let out a long, shuddering breath. The network was disrupted. The Imperial fleet retreated in disarray. Systems that had threatened entire worlds were offline. The immediate danger was gone. Ethan helped her back to the medbay. She was pale, trembling, exhausted. You did it, he whispered. We did it. She smiled weakly. We survived. For the first time, Lyra felt a flicker of hope. She had seen what humans could do when they were brave and smart. She had seen what love could do when two people trusted each other, even against impossible odds. Weeks passed. The human ship limped back to a safe zone. Repairs were made. Medical teams treated the injured. News of the princess and the human who helped her spread quietly among trusted officials. Some feared the story. Others hoped it was the start of something new. Lyra spoke to her people through secure channels. She revealed the faction's crimes, the attempts on her life, and the courage of the humans who had saved her. She did not claim victory. She claimed truth. Across the Empire, opinions shifted. Some soldiers laid down arms. Some leaders reconsidered strategy. Whispers of cooperation grew louder. For the first time in centuries, humanity was seen not as prey, but as a partner. Ethan stayed by her side. The connection between them had deepened beyond fear or duty. It was now personal, real. Love had grown quietly in the moments of crisis, forged by trust, courage, and shared danger. I never imagined this, Lyra said one evening, staring out at the stars, that humans could care like this. We do, Ethan replied, taking her hand. "We just show it in strange ways." She laughed softly, the first genuine laugh in months. It was light, fragile, beautiful. "Then maybe there is a future," she said. "Not ruled by fear, not by war." "Maybe," he said, "a future we choose together." The human captain approached them. "The Empire will still test you," she said. "But this moment, you've changed everything." Lyra nodded. "We've changed ourselves too." Weeks turned into months. Peace negotiations began. Humanity gained recognition. Factions in the Empire were dismantled or reformed. Lessons were learned on both sides. Strength was not just power, and survival was not only about weapons. And through it all, Lyra and Ethan remained together. They were an unusual pair, a human and an alien princess, bound by shared struggle and mutual respect. They faced suspicion, disbelief, and danger, but nothing could undo the bond that had formed in the heart of crisis. In the quiet moments, they walked together on the ship's observation deck, watching stars drift by. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they held hands in silence. The galaxy was vast and uncertain, but they had each other. "Do you think it will last?" Lyra asked softly. Ethan looked at her, eyes steady. "We make it last, every day, every choice." She smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. "Then we have hope." And in that moment, hope was enough. The Empire would rebuild. Humans would grow stronger. But for now, two hearts, human and alien, stood together, a symbol that cooperation, courage, and love could change the course of worlds. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to their story. What had begun as fear and danger had become something more powerful than either war or law. It had become proof that even the smallest acts of trust could ripple across the galaxy, shaping futures, saving lives, and uniting hearts that should never have met. And in that quiet triumph, they both knew this was only the beginning.